So not only are you actually not gaining any power with the GT model, you're actually taking away some off-road performance, which kind of blows my mind why they would do that. Well guys, no coffee today. It is the evening and we got some BCAAs, but wow, look at this Ram Rebel GT. I mean, Ram always seems to make a very, very beautiful truck. Maybe it's just my opinion, but I really like the way this thing looks. You got the sports hood up here. I don't necessarily think the gray is my favorite color that these things come in. It's not a bad looking color, but I think the blue, and I do like the red as well, obviously. The GT, baby. Now, like you guys heard, that exhaust is actually pretty loud and it's kind of cool. A feature on the GT, that nice catback exhaust system, which we'll get into in a bit here. But yeah, no, just a really, really good looking truck. And as we'll find out later in the video, a very off-road capable truck as well. What is going on today, guys? My name's Alex. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have this beautiful Ram Rebel GT in our presence, and I am very excited to show you guys what this truck is all about. First of all, we're going to talk about the Ram Rebel, what that truck is, all the cool features it has, and then we're going to talk specifically about the Ram Rebel GT package and what the GT package actually gives you when you get it with a Ram Rebel. So I'm pretty excited about that. Finally, I'll do a little bit of comparison between this truck and my Power Wagon, which is actually just sitting over there. We'll talk about some things that I really like that the Rebel has that the Power Wagon doesn't, and vice versa. So that is what we're up to today. I'm pretty excited, and hopefully you guys are too. But first, I want to thank the channel's official apparel sponsor, Old North Co. They are a local London, Ontario company founded by two sisters. They have some great Canadian outdoor designs. They have some cool t-shirts, sweaters, hats. They even have cool stuff for your dogs. I'll link all their information down below, as well as a 10% off discount code. So check them out if you guys are interested. So the Ram Rebel debuted in 2015 to try and compete with some other companies who had more off-road focused trim levels, something like the Toyota TRD off-road packages, Chevy Z71 off-road packages, and even Ford's FX4 off-road packages. And so Ram brought out the Rebel. Originally, I thought Ram was actually going after like the Ford Raptor, but as it turns out, equipment in the Ram Rebel was nowhere near what was in the Ford Raptor, and obviously we all know that Ram eventually released the TRX to really truly compete with the Ford Raptor. Now in 2015, that original Ram Rebel came with a 1-inch factory lift. It came with Bilstein off-road shocks. The rear stabilizer bar was a little bit different, it was a little bit softer. It also came with some bigger 33-inch Toyo Open Country all-terrain tires. And then obviously it came with the exterior styling that we know and love. Now I actually remember in 2015 hearing about the Ram Rebel going to be released, and I looked over the specs and I was actually quite disappointed because the truck came standard with 2 open differentials. Now you could option an anti-spin differential in the rear or a limited slip, but to me it just seemed a little bit odd. It came with 2 open differentials. When you look at Ford's FX4 package at the time, they came with an e-locker in the rear. GM's Z71 package also came with a G80 locker in the rear as well. So it's great that Ram had a 1-inch lift and bigger tires, but without any actual real driveline improvements or upgrades, you really can't use those things to your advantage. So to me, I was a little bit disappointed with the original 2015 Ram Rebel. Now eventually Ram did smarten up. In 2017, an anti-spin or limited slip rear diff came standard with all Rebel trim packages. And then in 2019, with the release of the good old 5th gen Ram 1500, that is when the Rebel really fell into my good books. So I figured we'd start from the front. This is a 2022 Ram Rebel, but nothing has really changed since 2019. It's basically the same truck. Tow hooks now come standard, always good to have. Secondly, we have this unique bumper that is only on the Ram Rebel, and it allows this truck to have a much better approach angle, about 26 degrees of approach, versus a standard Ram 1500 that only has about 19. So you get a little bit more ground clearance and you're not gonna scrape on objects as you start climbing things. Now sliding down the truck, we have some upgraded tires here. We have 33-inch tires on this truck. They are Wrangler Duratrax. A really nice, aggressive all-terrain tire. If you know, you know. These are not actually Wrangler Duratrax on here. These are actually just snow tires. Thankfully, we have the Power Wagon right here. And so these are Wrangler Duratrax, guys. These are nice, aggressive tires. I really like them. And these come standard on the Rebel over there, but they just have snow tires on it for the winter. Now, finally, as we're down here, these rims are actually unique to the Rebel as well, and they have 1/2 inch of offset, meaning that this truck is actually gonna have a slightly wider stance than your standard Ram 1500, giving it a better look, but also potentially giving it some more off-road ability. So that is also pretty cool. Now, speaking of stance, like the original Ram Rebel, this one also comes with a 1-inch factory lift, giving this thing a slightly higher look, as well as some more ground clearance, which is again gonna benefit you guys off-road, which I like to see. Now, speaking of suspension, this Ram Rebel is gonna come with Bilstein shocks all the way around, and that's gonna really help with the off-road ride quality and give you guys just a little bit more comfort. It's not gonna be like the TRX, but having those Bilstein off-road shocks is gonna help when you are going down those bumpy roads. Now, a key feature about this Ram Rebel that I feel like a lot of people completely overlook is the transfer case. In the 5th gen Ram 1500s, you can have the BorgWarner 4812 or the BorgWarner 4811. Now, the Rebels always come with the BorgWarner 4812. Why? Because it is a true locking transfer case. It is a gear-on-gear, chain-driven transfer case that will always send power to your front wheels when in four-wheel drive. Now, that may seem self-explanatory, but if you guys have four-wheel drive auto in your Ram 1500s, you have the BorgWarner 4811, which is a clutch pack style transfer case. Nothing inherently wrong with it. I had it, it worked fine, but if you get in sticky situations, at times those clutches can actually release and you won't get power to your front axle. And that is the last thing you want if you are off-road in some deep stuff. Really good that this Rebel always comes with a true locking transfer case. Now, I've talked about these two transfer cases at length, and maybe I'll link some videos down below if you guys are more interested, but basically having four-wheel drive auto gives you a less capable transfer case off-road. And at times, the truck will actually try and save wear on those clutches, and so they will actually slightly disengage and you will not have power going to your front drive shaft, like I mentioned. Whereas with the actual gear-on-gear true locking transfer case that the Rebel always comes with, unless something literally physically breaks inside the transfer case, you will always have power going to your front wheels no matter what, which is what you want. And it's nice to see that Ram understood that in off-road focused truck, you want that real true locking transfer case in there. And I think sometimes maybe people confuse having four-wheel drive auto as like the better option because there's just more options, right? You have your 4 low, 4 high, and then four-wheel drive auto. Whereas with this truck, you just have 4 high, 4 low, and 2-wheel drive. So I like that Ram put the proper transfer case in this truck. Now, underneath your transfer case, you're gonna have a skid plate, as well as a skid plate underneath your fuel tank, which is just gonna really help protect the truck. Now, finally, at the rear of the truck, we have two very important features that come standard with any Rebel. Number one is the gearing. The Ram Rebel comes standard with 392 gears, which I think is fantastic for a couple of reasons. First of all, 392 gears, it's a taller gear. It means that you're gonna be able to transfer more power, or specifically more torque, to your wheels. This is great when you're off-road. The other benefit of that is you're gonna have more control of your wheels off-road. So when you're in 4 low and you have a higher gear set like 392 gears, the wheels are gonna turn slower, which means, first of all, there's more torque. Second of all, you're just gonna have more control of those wheels. So in terms of an off-road benefit, having higher gears is always a good thing. The second thing is the fact that with the 392 gears, this truck can tow a lot of weight. This truck specifically can tow, I believe, just under 11,500 pounds, which for a 1500 is a monstrous amount of weight, and it's mostly because of these gears. Without the 392 gears, and if let's say you had 321 gears, your towing capacity would drop, I believe, around like 2,400 pounds. So it'd be well under 10,000 pounds of towing. So having those gears is a good thing. Now, lastly, if you guys are interested in it, is speed. With higher gears, you're gonna have greater acceleration. So this truck is gonna be slightly quicker than a standard Ram 1500 that comes with 321 gears, all of which I enjoy. Now, finally is la pièce de résistance, as they say. This Ram Rebel comes with a fully locking rear differential, an electric locking rear differential, and that is fantastic because, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Ram never really had a locking differential as even an option for these trucks, and the fact that now it comes standard is just a huge bonus. Having a locking differential is a great thing if you are off-road. Having an open differential is just horrendous. Being able to make sure both wheels get equal power is just gonna really help anyone off-road, and that's what this truck is meant for, so good to see. So to quickly summarize everything that the Ram Rebel comes with in terms of off-road features, comes with a 1-inch factory lift, comes with bigger 33-inch Wrangler Duratrack tires, which I really like, comes with skid plates, tow hooks, these cool bumpers that are actually functional and give you some more clearance. This truck comes with Bilstein off-road suspension all the way around, as well as a true locking transfer case, which is a big thing for me. Comes with 392 gears standard, as well as that rear locking differential, which is fantastic. So that is basically what you get with the Ram Rebel in terms of off-road ability. And this is why I said that the Ram Rebel has fallen into my good books in 2019, because I think they have really done good things with this truck, and I really appreciate what this truck is. So I guess what I mean by that is that this truck is not going to be competing with the Ford Raptor, obviously not the Ram TRX, or even, let's say, the Chevy ZR2. And those trucks, because they are so off-road focused, let's say, they sacrifice some of your standard pickup truck things. Like, for example, those trucks can't really tow that much, or they're not meant to be towing anything in the first place, really. Whereas this truck can tow a lot of weight. It's still got a decent payload. It's still a pickup truck. You can use it as a pickup truck if you really want. And it's gonna act like a pickup truck, yet you still get some pretty cool off-road features. If you wanna take this thing off-road, you most likely can, and you're gonna be just fine. So that's what I really like about this. It's kind of like the best of both worlds. Ram didn't sacrifice too much of the pickup truck aspect, yet Ram still gave this truck quite a bit of cool off-road goodies, and I really like it. So that is the Rebel, but most importantly, what the heck is this GT package, and what additional features does it bring to this already pretty amazing truck? Now, the first feature is under the hood here, which is kind of cool. Now, as you guys can hopefully see, right here, this is a special performance cold air intake that Ram has put on this GT, and it does sound pretty good. The Ram Rebel GT also comes with a factory catback exhaust system, giving this thing a little bit more tone, a little bit more bite when you put the throttle down. Now, along with those performance upgrades, you're gonna get some cool interior stuff. You're gonna get metal pedals. You're gonna get the shifter paddles on the steering wheel to change the gears, which is interesting. No longer are you gonna have the dial shifter, you're gonna have the console shifter, which I think some people will really enjoy. But if you want my opinion, I have to say the GT package does not really excite me. Now, I remember when the Ram Rebel GT was first announced and some people were first reviewing it, and they kind of made it seem like it was this truck in between the TRX and the Rebel. And I thought, well, maybe Ram put, 500 horsepower there, or even maybe bumped it up another 50 horsepower in the 5.7. But as it turns out, there is 0 power upgrades with the GT model. With the cold air intake and the exhaust, you still get your standard 395 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque, which this engine is no slouch. This truck is pretty freaking quick, but to me, it's a little disappointing that Ram didn't bump the numbers up a little bit. I mean, even 30 horsepower, right? If you bump the power up 30 horsepower to like 420 horsepower, that is enough to like kind of intrigue me to wanting to buy this package. But knowing that there is no power gains with the GT package kind of disappoints me a little bit. Now you do get some cool features with the GT. I mean, the exhaust does actually sound pretty nice, and that console shifter, I think a lot of people, like I said, will enjoy that. But maybe calling it a GT was the wrong name. I mean, GT, Grand Tourer, kind of stands for like the merge of luxury and performance. And yes, this truck is quite luxurious, but in terms of performance, there is no additional performance. So, you know, it kind of confused me why they called it a GT. Maybe they should have called it like the Ram Rebel Limited. I think that's probably more a suiting name. But anyways, just my opinion, guys. Personally, I probably would not buy the GT, and there is one reason why. So I apologize, it's gonna be probably pretty dark in here, but I hope you guys can see that. What does that say? That says 4-wheel drive auto. Huh. 4-wheel drive auto in a Ram Rebel, that's interesting. The Ram Rebel GT comes with the BW4811, that clutch pack style transfer case I was talking about earlier, which is not as good as the BW4812. So not only are you actually not gaining any power with the GT model, you're actually taking away some off-road performance, which kind of blows my mind why they would do that. I mean, I get it, you know, having that 4-wheel drive auto option is maybe a little more luxurious and you can just put in 4-wheel drive auto, not to worry about it. But I mean, come on, that just, I don't like that at all. And that is the reason why I would not buy a Ram Rebel GT, because I think you're better off just buying the Rebel, save yourself some money. The truck's gonna be just as quick and maintain all that off-road performance that you're looking for. All right, guys, that's my opinion. I love the Ram Rebel. I think it is a fantastic truck. In terms of the Ram Rebel GT, I think the GT package is a little bit overrated. It's just not for me, but maybe for you guys it is. Again, it's just my opinion. I know I said we would compare the Rebel to my Power Wagon, what I liked and didn't like, but I think this video is kind of running on here. So maybe I will do that in the future. Let me know if you guys want to see that, because I think it would be a pretty cool video, you know, really kind of comparing the two. If you guys like the video, don't forget to leave that thumbs up. And if you like cool stuff like this, don't forget to subscribe. Next week, we are taking this thing on a highway trip. Since it is the GT model, we might as well take it on that GT tour, baby. So that's what we're doing next week, and I'll give you guys my opinion on how this thing drives in the real world and all that fun stuff. Anyways, enough of me. See you in the next freaking video.